South Korea's constitutional court just upheld the impeachment of President Yoon Suk-yeol. Marine Le Pen, the far-right leader in France, banned from political office for 5 years. And in Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, who led a coup after his loss, has been banned from politics and ordered to face trial for attempting to overthrow his government. But here in America, the beacon of democracy, we still got Trump. We still got Trump. Attorney General Pam Bondi saying she will seek the death penalty for Luigi Mangione. Instead of lethal injection, she'll sign Mangione up for United Healthcare's Advantage plan. The Senate confirmed TV doctor and quack Mehmet Oz to lead Medicare and Medicaid, which more than 160 million Americans rely upon for their health care. Its annual budget, $1.5 trillion a year, all in federal expenses. At the height of the COVID epidemic, this man, Dr. Oz, prescribed hydrochloroquine to his followers. Now he's in charge of Medicare and Medicaid. What can go wrong? My calculator lacks the computing power to answer that. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen told Donald Trump on Thursday he cannot take Greenland. Standing next to Greenland's Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen, the Danish Prime Minister said of Trump's plan to seize the semi-autonomous territory, quote, "When you demand to take over a part of Denmark's territory, when we are met by pressure and by threats from our closest ally, what are we to believe in about the country that we have admired for so many years?" What are you to believe in? Pretty much nothing. Trump's in charge. He has repeatedly said of Greenland, we have to have it, either through invasion or dragging it into a changing room at Bergdorf Goodman. Last week, J.D. Vance and his wife paid a visit to Greenland, J.D. assuring its people, all 56,000 of them, they will be better off as Americans. Absolutely. Just ask any American how well that's working out for us. Adopting Greenland and next Canada. The marriage is going so well. Let's have more children. Here we see Donald Trump's picks for April Madness. After signing one of the menus at the Cheesecake Factory late Wednesday, Donald Trump ended up crashing the world markets on Thursday. Tech-heavy NASDAQ down nearly 6%. The S&P down nearly 5%. Well, you can't say Trump hasn't accomplished anything during his first 100 days. All of this in reaction to Trump announcing what he calls reciprocal tariffs on 180 nations and territories around the world. Hey, I got an idea. Let's find the dumbest man in our country and ask him to fly the jet. You know, to shake things up. Are these tariffs a good idea? No. How do I know they're not a good idea? Because the dumbest human being in the world, Donald Trump, came up with them. We have a convicted felon, an adjudicated rapist, a man who went bankrupt 6 times, who crashed the market the last time we handed him the wheel, telling us he knows how to save an economy that only needs saving from him? Things were fine until the dumbest people in our country went ahead and elected the capo di tutti capi of stupidity. Trump, seen here 2 hours in, attempting to crack the Highlights magazine for kids word search, announced 34% additional tariffs on China, a 20% tariff on goods coming in from the EU, a 24% tariff on Japan, and a 26% tariff on India. For some reason, no tariffs on Russia. Must have been an oversight. I mean, why would he impose tariffs on every country, especially our allies, but no tariffs on Putin? What's that about? Well, before you start accusing Trump of cutting us off from the rest of the world, you should know that Kirill Dmitriev, the head of Russia's Sovereign Wealth Fund, is in Washington, D.C. right now, as we speak, meeting with Trump envoy Steve Witkoff to work out ways to improve trade relations between the two countries because the peace talks are going so well. Trump announced a ceasefire in the Black Sea, and then Putin said, yeah, but only if you stop sending weapons and intelligence to Ukraine for a few weeks so we can win the war, and then we can talk about a ceasefire. Trump also closed what is called the de minimis loophole, which allows e-commerce companies to send products to American consumers directly from China without having to pay tariffs. So I'm guessing Trump is not invited to Jeff Bezos' wedding. Is it my imagination, or is Jeff Bezos' head a dead ringer for his girlfriend's right breast? What has she got there? Is that a diamond-studded cross? Yeah, that's a diamond-studded cross, the kind Jesus used to wear around his neck. Trump claims these tariffs are a way to punish Mexico and Canada for not cracking down on fentanyl flowing into our country. Fentanyl overdoses dropped 21% during Biden's last year in office. Believe it or not, there are other ways to combat drug addiction besides crashing the world economy. There's free treatment on demand, addressing the reasons Americans turn to fentanyl. We could try that. But who knows, maybe crashing the world economy is more effective. How do we find out until we give Trump's plan a try? Trump also claims his tariffs are intended to prop up the American auto industry. It's just a mere coincidence the guy who bought him the presidency, who spent $300 million, it's just a coincidence that most of his fortune is wrapped up in the Tesla, which just happens to be made here in the United States and will benefit from these auto tariffs. It's synchronicity. Trump says the tariffs will also protect domestic producers of steel and aluminum. Let's see how happy Trump voters are when they start paying double for their tinfoil hats and metal plates in their skulls. Trump says these tariffs will even out the playing field to stop other countries from ripping us off with tariffs on all our products. I guess we just have to take his word for it. That's what Mike Johnson said. We just need to take his word for it. Because when has Trump ever been wrong? As Trump said to Stormy Daniels while refusing to wear a condom right before he cheated on his wife weeks after she gave him a son, he said, "Trust me." That's what he said to Stormy Daniels before having condomless sex with her. Trust me. The guy who has unprotected sex with a porn star and then goes home to his wife and baby wants us to trust him. Donald Trump, the degenerate who refused to wear a condom while having sex with a porn star, wants us to believe he's the protectionist. And of course, then he went home to his wife and baby. And then he hid the hush money payments to Stormy Daniels, which is why he's a convicted felon dictating economic policy unilaterally. Iowa Republican Senator Chuck Grassley is said to be putting together legislation that would remove Trump's power to raise and lower tariffs. The bill would nest tariff powers inside the legislative branch. Nobody voted for these tariffs. It's just like the Federal Reserve deciding what interest rates should be. Trump is deciding unilaterally how high or how low tariffs should be. Does anybody think this is going to end well? Simply going on Trump's previous track record, why would anyone think this is going to have a happy ending? According to Politico, a bill similar to Grassley's has been introduced in the House by Democrats, but so far no Republicans are willing to co-sponsor it because they're not in the mood to start wondering if any of the thousands of death threats they start receiving for opposing Trump's tariffs could be real. Let's stop pretending. Trump's power of persuasion within his own party, death threats. It's why Tom Tillis voted to confirm Hegseth for Secretary of Defense. Death threats. Read Vanity Fair. Despite January 6, despite Trump commuting sentences for the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys, nobody wants to state the obvious. Republicans in Congress who go against Trump fear for their safety and the safety of their families. Trump has never, ever disavowed any of the violence on January 6. He celebrates it. He never disavows any of the threats of violence to judges, prosecutors, court officials, witnesses, or lawmakers who don't bend to his will. So, what's going on with this D-bag and his tariffs? Are things so bad here in the United States that Trump has to keep invoking emergency powers to wage economic warfare on Canada, Mexico, Europe, and the United States of America? When Trump took office again, was there a state of emergency? Yes, but only because Trump was taking office again. The only emergency is Donald Trump. Biden left Trump with the greatest economy in modern American history. Yes, it didn't work for half our country. But going by all the yardsticks, economic growth, inflation, unemployment, wage growth, Biden is the most successful president in modern American history. There was no economic emergency. Yes, because of economic inequality, too many Americans felt unsteady about our economy, but there was no emergency. Trump just convinced too many that there was. And studies show a lot of the Trump vote wasn't so much about the economy as it was economic status. I'm going to tell you something. Most of you already know this. It's a little hard for me to understand. When you scratch underneath a Trump voter, it's not necessarily about economic precarity. It's not necessarily about their economic future. It's more about their financial status. A lot of white men, a lot of white women, some Hispanic men and women, a couple of black men and women don't like where they are in the pecking order. And seeing a black woman like Kamala Harris as a potential president threatens their financial self-esteem. By virtue solely of their sex or race, a lot of voters, Trump voters, think this is their country, hence their economy, and they need to look down on somebody. They feel someone like Kamala Harris is looking down on them. That's why they didn't vote for her. They feel they should be looking down on Kamala Harris. Instead, they suspect she's looking down on them. Why wouldn't she? She's better than we are. That's why she almost became president. You're supposed to pick the best person to be president. I'm sorry if that makes you feel insecure. Obama, better than everybody. He really is. Clinton, with all his flaws, better than everybody. Here's the thing. There are two types of people. There are individuals who meet someone who is accomplished, smart, talented, hardworking, well-read, and they think, I should hang out with this person. Maybe some of what they have will rub off on me. And then there are MAGA Republicans who think, I need to destroy this person. I need to destroy anyone who is smarter or more accomplished than I am. That way, I'll be smart and accomplished. It's why everyone close to Donald Trump is a moron. He can't be around anyone who reminds him of what a failure of a human being he is. It is the need for status, financial status, intellectual status, physical status. That's why people voted for Trump. Trump understands there are a lot of defective people in America. He's one of them. People who'd rather diminish others than better themselves. Instead of picking up a book and looking inside, they'd rather smash it over the head of someone who wants to read it. So no emergency. There's no economic emergency. The same way Obama left Trump a great economy after a Republican had trashed it, Joe Biden left Trump a great economy after another Republican trashed it. But the entire point of putting Trump back in the White House is to crash the economy. His donors believe you need crisis to change things. And by changing things, they mean concentrate as much wealth into the fewest hands as possible. For these people, crisis is opportunity. And the best crisis is one that's been manufactured because they think they can control a manufactured crisis. They can't. It'll eventually swing out of hand, but they think they can control what's going on right now, which is a manufactured crisis. The economists out of the Chicago School of Economics talk about the virtues of shock treatment right after a crisis hits. When the economy crashes, or in Trump's case right now, when you crash it on purpose, they believe that's when you're free to slash government spending and privatize government services. It's what the Chicago boys did in Chile under Pinochet. But first, you got to get the American government to help in the assassination of Allende. Nobody's absolutely positive that the CIA pulled the trigger on Allende. It was malignant neglect fostered by Henry Kissinger, Nixon, and the CIA. That's why Allende ended up dead. Whether or not we pulled the trigger doesn't really matter. Create the crisis so you can apply the shock treatment. That's what Nixon, Kissinger, our CIA, and the Chicago School of Economics, the Milton Friedmans, the followers of Hayek, the Straussians, that's what they did down in Chile. They overthrew Allende, a duly elected president, a socialist, a Marxist, because our government, the American government at the time, believed the free market is the answer to whatever was ailing Chile. Big government was the problem. We had to give Chile a free market, which is garbage. It's not the free market. In practice, all America did in Chile is seize the commanding heights of their economy by seizing the commanding heights of their government and turning it into an extension of the richest 1%. And that's what the same people are doing or trying to do right now here in America. It's been going on since Reagan. The rich and the powerful claim they believe in a free market, but what they actually believe in is what happened in Chile after Allende was deposed. A police state that methodically transfers more of a nation's wealth into the hands of a slimy few. Musk, Trump, and the donors want Americans to pay taxes and then have all those tax dollars that are earmarked for Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, Superfund sites, even earmarked for the military, have all of it turned over to private contractors who perform government services for 10 times the cost at 100 times less the efficiency. What these people call the free market is socialism, more accurately, welfare for the richest 1%. You know this. You know all about this. Everywhere this is tried, including during the Reagan administration, the George W. Bush administration, the first Trump administration, Chile, South America in the 70s, wherever and whenever they try this, the government always racks up more debt. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. That's how it works. They rack up more debt. They privatize, it costs more, and they rack up more debt. And who does the government end up owing all that money to? Rich people. Rich people. It's rich people who buy all that debt. The richest 1% don't want a balanced budget. If the budget got balanced like it did during the Clinton administration, then there would be no issuance of government securities which rich people buy, which brokerage houses trade and lend. What would Goldman Sachs do without government debt? Where would rich people stash their money without government debt? This entire economy runs on debt, and the United States government is the biggest producer of it. Money doesn't make the world go round. Debt does. So the Department of Government Efficiency isn't about balancing the budget. It's about creating more debt and making sure that debt is created by tax cuts for the richest 1% and government expenditures that go directly to SpaceX and all the other private contractors feeding off the American taxpayer. If you're feeling shaky, if the room is spinning, don't worry. That's how it's supposed to be. That's the plan. Trump is manufacturing crisis in order to apply the shock treatment that benefits the rich and powerful and leaves us with twice the debt. There's a great book on there are several great books on this, but one that I think spells it out succinctly and clearly is one written by the great Naomi Klein. She wrote it almost 20 years ago. It's called The Shock Doctrine, The Rise of Disaster Capitalism. Go buy Naomi Klein's The Shock Doctrine, The Rise of Disaster Capitalism. It's all about how they take a wrecking ball to perfectly functioning institutions so that the rich and powerful get richer and more powerful. It's called The Shock Doctrine by Naomi Klein. Donald Trump reflects the Manhattan real estate mentality. Take a wrecking ball to what already exists and replace it with something gaudy and garish, benefiting as few people as possible. That's why Manhattan is unlivable. Manhattan developers make money from the churn, buying neighborhoods, tearing them down, building new ones, selling them, buying new neighborhoods, flipping them, building on them, not building on them, borrowing against them, lending against them, or leaving them to rot for a tax write-off and then an eventual government subsidy to build on them. For a Manhattan developer, the people who live in those older, well-established neighborhoods, the business is sustained by the people in those well-established neighborhoods. None of them are real. Either are the buildings, either is the land. It's just numbers on a screen. So, destroy it. As Hannah Arendt put it, the banality of evil. Life and death, it's just paperwork. It's not good enough to have neighborhoods with schools, locally owned businesses, and affordable housing for the middle class and the poor. That is what generational wealth is. Generational wealth is building communities that last. They're not interested. The developers aren't interested in generational wealth. They take a wrecking ball and throw out everybody, put them out on the street, replace neighborhoods with dismally faceless, unfeeling skyscrapers, chain stores, and luxury apartment buildings nobody lives in. Nobody lives in those apartments. They're nothing more than safe deposit boxes to park laundered money. That's what homes in Manhattan have become. They're safe deposit boxes, where the safe deposit box is worth more than what's inside of it. Most of these luxury skyscrapers, they look like a safe deposit box. That's what they are. They're safe investments for oligarchs. Walk around Manhattan. So much real estate, so few people. Where is everybody? The people who own Manhattan don't live here. This is the financialization of our economy. It's not about building things anymore. It's not about holding things. It's all about the financing of things. Now we build homes, businesses, skyscrapers to financialize them, to trade them. Silicon Valley isn't about building a business that employs thousands of people, creating generational wealth for Silicon Valley residents. No, it's all about creating a company that you can then sell to Microsoft, Apple, or Google. Your workers be damned. Cupertino, where Apple was founded, their schools are going bankrupt. The money is no longer in the building of businesses, it's in the churn. It's in the creation of businesses and then the selling of those businesses. There's not enough money in a bank simply lending you money to buy a car. The real profit comes from selling that car loan to a financial institution that then bundles hundreds of auto loans into a security that can be traded on Wall Street and then selling bets against that security. They're swaps, credit default swaps. It's what crashed the economy in 2008. Stability might be good for you, might be good for me. It might be good for small business owners who need to plan how many people to hire or how much raw material to purchase to make certain there are no disruptions to their cash flow. They need the stability. But at the very top of America's financial food chain, disruption, that's where the big money is. Disruption creates massive buying opportunities for people with cash. Disruption means churn. It means people are buying and selling, and whether prices go up or down, giant financial firms, law firms, accounting firms, real estate firms, auction houses, they all collect huge fees and commissions, churning it all. It's all about the churn, the volume of the trade, because they skim fees off the top. Donald Trump's tariffs are one part greed, another part stupidity, which means it's just stupidity because in the end, greed is stupid. Trump is stupid. He's been convinced that the income tax will be replaced by tariffs. Tariffs are essentially a sales tax. My listeners know more about this than I probably do. You know why this is stupid. Trump wants the economy to fail. Well, let me correct that. He wants the economy, unlike Elon Musk's joystick, to go up and down, up and down. unlike Elon Musk's joystick, allegedly, which can't go up, only down, which is why he allegedly can only have children through artificial insemination. Allegedly. That's what Trump thinks he's accomplishing right now with these tariffs. In his demented, fevered mind, he's the maestro conducting the economy. And he's planning to spend the next 4 years creating, all by himself, a zigzagging marketplace where his donors buy on the dips, sell on the highs. I mean, look at this guy wearing the Trump cap on Wall Street. He might as well be playing a slot machine in Atlantic City. Look at him. Instead, he's on Wall Street pretty much doing the same thing, but with your money. He's gambling with your money. It's all going to go crashing down. And once again, the government will be forced to rack up more debt, saving late-stage capitalism. This is late-stage capitalism. What we're witnessing right now is a remake of Mel Brooks's classic, The Producers, where Zero Mostel and Gene Wilder come to the realization there's way more money to make off a flop than a hit. Trump and his crew of second-rate intellects, they took a look at the recession of 2020. You might remember Trump, the first time around, gave us the worst recession since the Great Depression. They looked at the 2008 financial crisis when that other genius, George W. Bush, destroyed capitalism, literally destroyed capitalism. In 2008, the last year of Bush's presidency, Hank Paulson, his Treasury Secretary, went to then Speaker Nancy Pelosi and said, "We need a bailout. Capitalism is over," unquote. Google it. Actual words. These people literally destroyed capitalism. They did it in 29. They did it in 2008. They did it in 2020. They're doing it now. Why now? Because they've realized, like Zero Mostel and Gene Wilder in The Producers, a flop is better than a hit. A flop creates buying opportunities as long as the government has our back. As long as our government bails us out, a flop is bigger than a hit. This is what happens in late-stage capitalism when a handful of the richest 1% control the government. You don't have regulation. You end up with late-stage, if not end-stage capitalism, where the concentration of wealth becomes so small and tightly packed, it creates a black hole that sucks everything into it, and there's nothing left other than the socialism of a massive government bailout. This is the savings and loan crisis from the late 80s, early 90s. Go back and look at the savings and loan crisis. People realize, wait, we can do anything with this money. It's government guaranteed. In the last 100 years, we have a boom and bust cycle where capitalism busts the economy, socialism steps in, then capitalism takes over, and then socialism has to step in again, and it's over and over and again. But as you all know, it's socialism for the rich. I'm not telling you anything new. In 1929, 2008, 2020, the savings and loan crisis, because of greed, incompetence, deregulation, the rich destroyed the economy, the evil government stepped up, and in so doing, made the rich richer. That's the lesson from all of this. That's why Trump is so eager to crash the economy sooner than later. For Trump, these tariffs are an accelerant for way more boom and a lot more bust. Trump and the people around him have realized if they crash the economy again, those with cash, those almost as liquid as Trump's brain, those impatiently waiting to buy low, they'll make a killing. Once they crash the economy, they can go on a shopping spree of real estate stocks. They can buy up teetering businesses. And then they wait for the Democrats to come in to fix it all. While the people who crashed it and then cash in, they blame the Democrats for all of it. They have think tanks that figure out ways to blame Democrats for the crash, too much regulation, and then they blame Democrats for the way they're rescuing capitalism. They blame Democrats for wasting money, bailing out taxpayers instead of banks, lenders, big business, the wealthy. Why are you giving taxpayers money? They're supposed to give us, taxpayers are supposed to give us the money. We are a nation of financial illiterates, especially the people in charge right now. George W. Bush and Trump crashed the economy. Obama and Biden came in, rebuilt the economy, and each time they rebuilt the economy, the rich got even richer and the poor got even poorer. Each time the Democrats save the economy, the concentration of wealth grows even tighter among the rich. So, in this administration, in Trump's heated and misguided mind, he thinks, or he's trying to convince some of us, he's crashing the economy in order to save it. It's Joseph Schumpeter. He called it creative destruction. Silicon Valley calls it being a disruptor. It's garbage. It's just a way to steal money from the government, which, by the way, is 40% of our economy. There is also something else. By the way, you can look that up. If you factor in, we have like a $34 trillion economy. When you factor in what the federal government spends, what the state governments spend, what local governments spend, it's about 40% of that $30 trillion economy. There's no free market. Well, there's also something else going on. Trump and the morons around him know that when it comes to the game that these people are playing, the economy in their mind is virtual reality. When the economy is entirely financialized, that means it's not grounded in any tangible facts. The way these people trade real estate, stocks, bonds, businesses, none of it is real. They don't see people or buildings or assets. They just see numbers. But these numbers are not math. They're a feeling. When you look at the richest 1%, their economy is different from ours. Their economy is a feeling, a notion, an idea in their head. In 2016, they asked Donald Trump, "How wealthy are you?" And he said, "It all depends on how I feel that day." That's what he said. Because he's doing math in his head. He's doing emotional bookkeeping. That's how he adds up his wealth. I'll talk about Forbes coming out with their list in just a second. But Trump thinks, when he's adding up his wealth, he thinks about the billions he owes banks and the billions he owes the Russian mafia, for whom he allegedly laundered money since the early 90s. And then he thinks about all the real estate he's convinced himself he actually owns, what he thinks that real estate is worth on paper. He doesn't take into account all that real estate is completely mortgaged and he really doesn't own any of it. He thinks about what he owes and what he thinks he owns, and because it's sunny out, his bone spurs aren't acting up, he'll decide $3 billion. I'm worth $3 billion. Nothing is rooted in reality. He's just decided he's worth $3 billion. And then he would tell Alan Weisselberg, his chief financial officer, who's done 2 stints at Rikers Island, he would say to Weisselberg, hey, I have to borrow more cash. Give me a financial that makes me worth a couple of billion so I can borrow more to pay my bills. And that's how you go bankrupt at least 6 times. Early on, back in the 80s, during his first or second bankruptcy, Trump's lenders realized he couldn't pay them back. He never was going to be able to pay them back. But they also realized seizing his properties would make those properties worth even less. So they decided it was better to keep Trump's name on those properties because they decided there's an intangible we're not taking into consideration, and that is the Trump brand. Because Trump was famous, they decided there was added value to his properties. The banks literally attempted to price in the value of Trump's reputation such as it was in order to justify not seizing everything and then having to sell all of it at fire sale prices. In Trump's world, in Deutsche Bank's world, none of it is real, it's virtual. What you own, what you owe, it's all an imaginary construct. We learned in the New York State civil fraud trial last year, the one Trump lost and now has to pay $500 million in fines for defrauding lenders. We learned when he presented a financial, he would tell Alan Weisselberg, his chief financial officer, did I mention that guy did 2 stints at Rikers Island? He would say, when you're doing up my financials, factor in the brand. So in prepping the financials, Trump would add 25, 30, 40% to a building just because his name was on it. And Deutsche Bank bit. For Trump, for the people he's surrounded by, the economy is an intangible. It's virtual. It's a mood, an idea. It's a notion you insist upon. This is late-stage capitalism. It's the financialization of everything. Finance isn't real. Even a dollar isn't real. A bond isn't real. It's a promise or a promissory note. When wealth gets concentrated, the economy becomes nothing but promissory notes. People trading promissory notes. And when these people can no longer keep their promises because they have no real tangible assets, the whole thing comes crashing down. Capitalism dies. The government steps in with real government-backed securities backed by the full faith and credit of the United States. That would be taxpayers. And then we have socialism for the rich until the rich get back up on their feet and start concentrating even more wealth into their rapacious hands. Our economy has become a rapid series of booms and busts, and these cycles continue to happen more frequently. I was channeling Elmer Fudd there. These cycles happen more frequently because after every bust, the government steps in and instead of punishing, it rewards the criminals who broke the economy. And that only concentrates more wealth, which leads to another late-stage capitalism bust. What we have are continuous cycles of late-stage capitalism, followed by socialism for the rich, followed by more late-stage capitalism, followed by socialism for the rich. Each bust makes capitalism just young enough to convince our government that late-stage capitalism won't happen again. But it always does, because we never lock up the people who keep crashing the economy. Instead, they get richer and use that money to buy more elections. The only way to short-circuit this cycle of economic violence is a government that says no to late-stage capitalism, a government that regulates, a government that doesn't reward the financialization, the commodification of our entire country, a government that rewards tangible assets, that rewards real work, real businesses, real estate, that rewards people and stuff that people actually live and work inside of. For 99% of us, the economy is what we earn, what we owe, and what we own. Tangible assets, like a car, a watch, a computer, a home. For 99% of us, our tangible assets are pitted against our tangible debt. Debt we can actually touch. It comes in the mail every month in the form of a credit card statement. It's real. It's not a mood. It's all real. But Trump, or his Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, who up until January of this year was running Cantor Fitzgerald, a financial clearinghouse for stocks and bonds, for these people, the economy is all about the intangibles, things you really can't put a price on because you can't touch it. For them, the economy is ideas, notions, and most importantly, a mood. What Trump is accomplishing with these tariffs is he's destroying the economy for 99% of us while making his closest associates even wealthier because he thinks he can create a series of economic mood swings, virtual mood swings, over the next 4 years. He thinks he possesses a magical baton, and with it he can conduct the markets up and down, loud and soft, faster, slower, by announcing tariffs, declaring trade wars, and then canceling some one day, uncanceling others the next, while announcing new ones the following day. He thinks he's Leonard Bernstein. Through commotion, through the mere stroke of a pen, or the threat of stroking his pen, Trump thinks he can rheostat the tumultuous tides with strategic pandemonium, manipulating the moods of investors with his newfound powers. One day the tide is coming in, the next the tide looks like it's going out, but I surprise everyone. The tide is actually coming in even more and flooding the region. I'm a maestro. I control the weather. Trump has always been a merchant of chaos. He sells chaos. His donors are paying him right now for the madness, for the unruliness, for the disorder, because in it they see the opportunity of crisis. His game, if you want to call it that, is creating a roller coaster for our virtual economy, wild swings and gyrations in the costs of everything that people on Wall Street get rich selling. Doesn't matter if it's high or low, as long as there's churn. Churn. That's what this is all about. If you sell real estate, stocks, bonds, fine art, automobiles, rare coins, baseball cards, autographs, comic books, the real money isn't in owning that garbage. It's in the churn. Selling and buying is what this is all about, and it doesn't matter if it's high or low. Simply facilitating the selling and buying, that's where the fees and commissions are. That's where the lawyers and the accountants make their money. You don't make money owning these things. You make money off the churn. While stability might be good for America, it's bad for the investor class. No buying opportunities. No paper to trade. There's something else going on. Trump surrounds himself with people who think it's all about having what they call an edge, which is a euphemism for inside information. It's what degenerate gamblers always think they have, an edge, inside information. There's no such thing. That's another reason so many rich people donated to Trump's campaign and don't care that that money, most of it ended up in his pocket. Musk donated $300 million. Why? For the edge. Literally, the edge. Musk's literally pouring through all our secrets right now, probably feeding it into his artificial intelligence platform, Grok, or whatever he's calling it now, to make the perfect hedge fund that can consider every variable known to man before making a bet. Trump will crash our economy, and he'll bring a lot of his donors down with it. But they will be convinced they had an edge. They had inside information, and had the government, had the Democrats just stayed out of the way, they could have made it all back. There is no edge. There is no inside information. There's only hard work and saving your money. Eventually, people who buy and sell on what they think is the edge, these are gamblers, they're day traders, eventually they end up losing everything. Donald Trump, 6 bankruptcies. You don't buy generational wealth by being a day trader. And when I talk about generational wealth, I'm talking about our country providing for our children, all of our children. You build generational wealth by ignoring the vicissitudes of the economy and making sure to live within your means. Investing in what's important, like education, free tuition at all public universities and community colleges. Medicare for all. That's how you create generational wealth. The secret to generational wealth is no debt, never being forced to sell because you're in over your head. Generational wealth can only be sustained for individuals by holding on and not churning. I can assure you, when all is said and done, Elon Musk will have very little left for himself and his hundreds of children who already despise him. Again, when I talk about generational wealth, I just don't mean families. I mean neighborhoods, cities, zip codes, and countries. When I say generational wealth, I mean making decisions based on what the world will look like after we're gone. So to simplify this, if your grandparents bought a home in, say, the 1970s, and your parents inherited it, and they didn't get a divorce, didn't sell it, and they pass it on to you, and you don't sell it, that's generational wealth. And if everyone with this house, and I'm talking about neighborhoods, I'm talking about the country, if everyone did the repairs on that metaphorical house when it needed to be done, didn't borrow against it to buy another house or pay off gambling debts, you end up with the single greatest engine of generational wealth known to civilization, a home. A home. It's tangible. It's real, not virtual. It exists in time and space. And when I talk about a home, I'm talking about this land I love. This is our home. Where does patriotism and love of country come from? You love your home. In terms of value, what's good for you, your zip code, and your country, housing is the greatest engine of generational wealth. Investing in our home, our nation, our government. The second you commodify housing, when it's flipped, when you financialize housing, it's at the mercy of the boom and bust cycles, and that generational wealth wiped out for the neighborhood, city, zip code, state, and country. All that generational wealth is destroyed. Your home, your city, your zip code, your neighborhood, if you take care of it, if you don't borrow against it to make a quick buck, if you keep your home in good condition, make sure the schools are good, you have libraries with books, there's a downtown with locally owned businesses, the roads paved, the air and water clean, the government responsive to those less fortunate. When you do all that, you create a home for all of us. And that's the greatest engine of generational wealth ever invented. That's what gives you stability. Stability is what sustains neighborhoods. Wrecking balls are not the answer. Chaos is not the answer. It's why people are addicted to fentanyl. Chaos, financial precarity, wrecking balls destroy communal bonds. It makes us distrustful of everyone and lonely. This country, right now, is being run by late-stage, end-stage capitalists. Self-described financial wizards who gamble with our economy because they know socialism for the rich, government, will bail them out. They're not interested in building businesses that last forever, creating generational wealth for America. They don't care about their employees, the neighborhood, their zip code, or their country. They are, in essence, degenerate gamblers. So it should come as little surprise Trump went into the casino business, which profits off the most intangible asset imaginable, luck. And he still went bankrupt. Now, if you watch the financial news networks today, if you watched them yesterday, the justification for all this Trumpian recklessness with our economy is, quote, it unleashes our animal spirits. And that, they say, is a good thing. When you listen to these people, they will say the economy only flourishes when the government gets out of the way and unleashes the animal spirits. Animal spirits are a Hobbesian nightmare of pure id, where the rich and powerful eventually devour themselves. It's Darwin's nightmare. And then, when they destroy the world, these wolves sheepishly come hat in hand to the government and say, "We got too greedy. Help me?" In my world, I'll help you, but first you go to prison for 30 years. These people running the Trump White House live for the chaos, the destruction, and the suffering. For them, making money is a blood sport. They enjoy slashing payrolls. Trump's trademark is "you fired." Musk enjoys slashing federal jobs because Elon Musk allegedly can only conceive through in vitro fertilization, and people have to pay a heavy price for his joystick remaining flaccid. That's what I've heard. That's what people keep telling me. I hope it's not true, but that's what they're saying. That's what I hear people. It's what I hear myself saying. Why would I be saying it if it's not true? Elon Musk has fired 10,000 people who work for Health and Human Services. Their salaries make up 1% of the entire budget for Health and Human Services. How is that cost effective, especially when we're going to need these people for the next outbreak? Doesn't matter. This is a blood sport for these people. They don't go into business or government to help. They do it to pleasure their animal spirits. And their animal spirits aren't love or tenderness. It's rape. It's pillaging, which they justify by claiming, well, that's what humans do. No, it's what rabid animals do. It's what rabid humans do. Most humans evolved 10,000 years ago. We evolved past kill or be killed. We evolved past kill or be killed because most of us learned that cooperation, working together, creating a community is more profitable than killing your neighbors and raping their wives and daughters. With this Republican Party, I should add sons. They worship the octagon. They love UFC. These people don't want a simple and quiet life. They don't want it for themselves, and they certainly don't want it for others. Donald Trump's going to be 80. This is what he's doing. What is wrong with a man pushing 80 that he has to do this? What is wrong with Elon Musk, the wealthiest man in the world, that he has to make everyone's life miserable? People are saying, I've heard, that his joystick has the consistency of cottage cheese. That's what I heard. That's what people are saying. That's what I'm saying. Why would I be saying it if it weren't true? Elon Musk, Donald Trump, they're scared little men, so everyone else needs to be just as scared, more scared than they are, so they feel safe. That's how they make themselves feel safe, by making people around them more scared than they are. They're broken, so everyone else needs to be broken. All of you have had the boss who didn't think it was good enough for workers to just show up and do their jobs. No, workers have to be frightened, scared, untethered, living with the terror of getting fired or the humiliation of Jerry in accounting, screaming about your expense report or complimenting your ass. These monsters try to convince themselves they get the best work out of people when their employees hate coming into work. And that's why they hate anyone who's woke. Because people who are woke say, why are you talking to me this way? This has nothing to do with making widgets. This has everything to do with you not being able to please your wife in bed. Ever talk to people who are under the age of 30? You tell them about your life experiences, and rightfully so. They say, why would you put up with that? And I would say, because I was scared, and it was the culture. It's abuse. And abuse doesn't improve the bottom line. It doesn't increase productivity or profitability. It eats into all of that. All it does is allow very sick and damaged people, men, mostly white men, sitting at the top of the food, born at the top of the food chain. It just allows them to take their psychosexual family traumas out on innocent victims. That's all it is. It's all it is. That's why we need the woke culture. Yes, I fought it. I have kids. I fought them kicking and screaming. They're right. There's no need for any of that garbage. I cannot tell you the number of mid-level management tools who would tell me, about the guy in charge, the big boss. He doesn't feel loved today. I cannot tell you the number of times mid-level management would say to me, the guy on top doesn't feel loved today. So let's make him feel loved today. And I'm thinking, what, should I go in and blow him? What am I supposed to do here? I'm trying to raise my family. How do I make an unlovable person feel loved? These mental defects, they'll, wrap it up they'll say it's the bottom line. That's why I behave this way. It's just their own inadequacies and sadism masquerading as capitalism. It's not capitalism. It's abuse. I know capitalism is abuse. Unregulated capitalism is abuse. Had Donald Trump, how am I doing here? I haven't done a live show in a while. I'm talking too much. I apologize. Had Donald Trump not touched the money he inherited from his father, had he just put it in stocks, saving bonds, real estate, left it all alone, he'd be worth billions. Instead, he owes billions. I'll get to the Forbes magazine in a second. It wasn't good enough for him to just say, I won the genetic lottery. I'm going to inherit all this money from my father. I'm going to live a good life. No, not good enough. He was a kid from Queens who wanted to surpass his dad, work out his Oedipal issues by becoming the big shot across the East River in Manhattan, and he blew the entire fortune several times over. Now, Trump will say, I'm a businessman. It's all about making money. He never made money. He lost it. His entire life is about proving his father wrong, convincing his dead father, I'm successful, Dad. But all Trump ever succeeded in was becoming famous. That's why he was able to, the banks let him keep some of the properties because he's famous. He succeeded in becoming famous. But so did Joey Buttafuoco. And say what you will about Joey Buttafuoco, he knew how to fix a car. Trump doesn't know how to fix anything other than an election. Trump has failed at everything except convincing rubes he's rich. There is talk right now of a third term. Putting Trump on the $500 bill, even Mount Rushmore. Based on what accomplishment? What success? What did Trump accomplish in his first 4 years other than providing a tax cut for the richest 1% that created almost 1/3 of our entire national debt? What did he accomplish other than crapping the bed on COVID, leaving 1 million Americans dead? Tell me what his accomplishment was. The murder rate, the crime rate spiked when he was president. What did he accomplish? He's the only president since Herbert Hoover to leave office with fewer jobs than when he started. Where's the success? What justification could you possibly have for a third term other than living in abject fear of him and his supporters? Now, supposedly, according to the latest Forbes, Trump's worth billions. Why? Truth Social stock and some cryptocurrency ventures. Intangibles. They're illusions. Let's see what happens if and when he ever tries to trade those assets in for actual cash. All right. I'm going to wrap it up. These tariffs, it's all intentional chaos because his mind is chaos. He needs a storm because unless there's lightning and thunder and a sensation of falling backwards with nobody to catch him, he doesn't feel alive. It's the only reason a man pushing 80 would be doing this. He doesn't feel alive unless he feels like he's falling backwards, about to lose everything. He's addicted to the roller coaster ride. You know, roller coaster rides are thrilling, but for most of us, you know, you get on a roller coaster once, every year? The entire purpose of a roller coaster is twofold: the thrill, and then the gratitude that comes from it being over, and you get to appreciate the boring stability of the real world. You get off a roller coaster and you think, okay, I like this better. Most of us go on a roller coaster ride and say, let's go get a cone. But people like Trump say, again, let's do it again and again and again and again. That's who Trump is. He's uncomfortable with comfort. And that makes him a useful idiot, not just to Putin, but to Wall Street insiders who earn money off the roller coaster, who make money off the ups and the downs, and even more money when their useful idiot is president and begins telling them when there's going to be an up and when there's going to be a down. This whole presidency is an exercise in market manipulation, in insider trading. Every weekend, Trump is off to Mar-a-Lago. Can you imagine the edge he thinks he's providing to members of that club? Pam Bondi is Attorney General, the SEC. Nobody is going to say, let's review all the financial transactions being made by Trump's closest friends or his donors or his cabinet. Nobody in this FBI or Justice Department is ever going to investigate the criminal conspiracy of insider trading taking place right now inside the White House and Mar-a-Lago. He's moving markets. Trump just needs to say, I wouldn't want to be the CEO of BMW. That's all he needs to say, and his friends rush off to short German automobiles. Those investigations never going to happen. Given Trump's track record, given the people he surrounds himself with, do you have any doubt people are moving their cash based on Trump's attempts to make the markets go up and down? Think about Howard Lutnick. He's turned Cantor Fitzgerald's day-to-day operations over to his son. Lutnick wanted to be Treasury Secretary, but he can't keep his mouth shut. Trump really hates him. It would be interesting to discover what Lutnick is telling his son that Trump told him. I'd like to see the trades being made over at Cantor Fitzgerald. And here's the thing, I'll wrap it up. I suspect Lutnick is going to go down. I think we're going to find out something about Lutnick. There were things about him in the press. A lot of the people close to Trump will go down, possibly go to jail because of Trump ordering it. Trump's Stalin-esque paranoia will result in some of his closest advisors mysteriously defenestrating, jumping out a window. It wouldn't surprise me if Pam Bondi, in, say, 6 months, opens up a criminal investigation into Lutnick, secretly on Trump's orders, because Trump can't stand the guy. Never forget, in the end, Trump is a crime boss. So he's stupid, but he's corrupt. He's a crime boss. Any success he's had is due to his being a crime boss. And that's why I think a lot of the people who got close to him this time around, I think they're going to be punished by him. No special prosecutor, no Mueller report, no special counsel, by Trump, because the mafia always kills its own. Trump is a mob boss. Maranzano, Bugsy Siegel, Albert Anastasia, Joey Gallo, Paul Castellano, Tony the Ant Spilatro, played by the greatest actor ever, Joe Pesci. All of them eventually killed by members of their own families or by rival gangs. Mobsters kill their own. This is what we're talking about. Trump is already telling people Musk has a few months before he's gone. I don't think Musk is going to end up in prison. I don't see him running Tesla much longer. Trump is a mafia crime boss, and they rub out their enemies. Usually, their biggest enemies are within. Trump always says he's not, when he campaigned, our enemy is within. Well, he just doesn't mean the Democrats. He means the people closest to him. Trump will be rubbing out those closest to him. I can assure you, because there's only room for his ambition, nobody else's. So, I should wrap this up. I'm sorry I went so long. I've always been curious about Trump's odd relationship with Rudy Giuliani. It's sick. Before becoming mayor of New York, I'm talking about the mafia now, Rudy was a federal prosecutor who took credit for taking down the mob in New York. As U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Rudy Giuliani took advantage of the RICO Act to prosecute the 5 New York mafia families, specifically over their infiltration of the construction business. That's what everybody, when people talk about Rudy Giuliani and they say he brought down the mafia, yes, he prosecuted them over their infiltration of the construction business. See where I'm going with this? He sent a lot of New York mobsters to prison by proving that the commission, the 5 families, divvied up control of the Teamsters, construction unions. They collected bribes from contractors to make certain key supplies like ready-mix cement showed up on time. Ready-mix cement has to be, can't wait around too long. And Trump Tower, not made of steel, made of ready-mix cement. From 1985 to 1986, Rudy Giuliani prosecuted key players in the Gambino, Genovese, Bonanno, Colombo, and Lucchese families. He proved they drove up construction costs by controlling the workers, the contractors, and the material. This was exactly the same time Donald Trump was doing what? Building in Manhattan. His lawyer, Trump's lawyer at the time, Roy Cohn, who at the same time was the lawyer for the Bonanno family, the Gambino family, and the Genovese family, who all played a major role in New York City construction, especially ready-mix concrete, which was used to build Trump Tower. We also know Roy Cohn, according to Trump, is the sine qua non of lawyers. Where is my Roy Cohn? He still bellows to this day. So I think Rudy and Trump have a weird relationship. Rudy prosecuted the 5 families, specifically over construction in Manhattan. And Trump, a developer, somehow came out of it completely unscathed. I don't know. It would suggest to me, if this were a Martin Scorsese movie, not based in real life, then it would suggest to me that Trump might have been an FBI informant, might have assisted Rudy Giuliani, and that's why it's impossible to prosecute Donald Trump. If this were a Scorsese movie, then again, Scorsese movies are based in truth. Who knows? Maybe Trump living in the White House is all part of the witness protection program. I'd love to know if Martin Scorsese is planning to do a movie about this. Either way, Donald Trump is destroying our economy, and you and I will eventually pay for it. Literally, it will be our tax dollars that come to the rescue. And unless we get hold of our government, it'll keep happening over and over again. I'm David Feldman, reminding you to stay strong and protect the weak. Thank you for listening to me. I'm sorry I went so long. I haven't done a live show in a while. Thank you to Bob and Mila in the chat room. Thanks to everybody in the chat room. Please leave a comment. I read all your comments. Please like this episode. That's the best way for me to remain in your feed. Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to my newsletter. What else? Share this, please, with your friends. Brush your teeth. And don't wash your socks and underwear in my kitchen sink. I had a friend staying with me last month, visiting, and he would wash his socks and after a busy day in New York City, doing God knows what, with God knows whom, he would stand over my kitchen sink and wash his socks and underwear, where I wash my dishes, where I sometimes eat over. Who am I kidding? That's all I do is eat over my kitchen sink. That's my tablecloth. And he's washing his filthy socks and underwear in my kitchen sink. I'm going to try to do a show tomorrow.